We have one software product with two names. The QuickScore branded product is a scorecard product for balanced scorecards and strategic initiatives that uses specifically the terms that are taught by the Balanced Scorecard Institute. When you log into the QuickScore product, the modules use the terms that are taught by the Balanced Scorecard Institute. We have balanced scorecards, we have strategy maps, and we have strategic initiatives. When we look at balanced scorecards, the structure of those scorecards is the structure that is taught for the Balanced Scorecard by the Balanced Scorecard Institute. Perspective, objectives, themes, performance measures. When we look at strategic initiatives are divided into initiatives, tasks, and milestones. The functionality is exactly the same as the functionality in Scoreboard. Scoreboard is our performance management scorecard product that uses generic performance management terminology. The functionality is exactly the same as in QuickScore. When you log into Scoreboard, the modules are divided into dashboards, scorecards, and action plans. When you look at a scorecard, the structure of the scorecard is built using the terminology for key performance areas, objectives, subordinate areas, and KPIs. When you look at the action plans, rather than talking about strategic initiatives, we talk about action plans, actions, and milestones. Other than that, the functionality is the same in both products. It is the terminology that differentiates the product. QuickScore uses the Balanced Scorecard Performance Management terminology as taught by the Balanced Scorecard Institute. Every user has a unique username and password. Every organization has their own database. An organization may have more than one database. The database appears in the drop-down menu. You as a user choose your database, enter your username and your password, and then click Submit. Once you are logged into the application, you see your home page where your bookmarks are. Once you've set up your scorecards, you can then bookmark any page in the application so that you can navigate your performance management dashboards, scorecards, action plans without having to leave your home page. The first and most important function for you to access is scorecards. When you access a module for the very first time, you're presented with the organizational hierarchy. For your scorecards, you build an organizational hierarchy that represents the structure of your organization and each department that has a scorecard. You choose an organization and the scorecard for that organization loads. The scorecard is always in a spreadsheet view. There is no required structure for a scorecard. What we're looking at in this instance is a manufacturing scorecard where we're looking at key performance areas, quality, cost, safety, productivity, and people. We might be looking at a balanced scorecard where we would have 4 perspectives. We can also be looking at a simple spreadsheet scorecard. A spreadsheet scorecard would simply be your KPIs. In this case, it would be sales by sales rep, and then their monthly performance. You might have key performance areas like a P&L statement. P&L statements are always divided into income, expenses, other income, and then your total or net income. In this case, these are subdivided into the key performance areas and then all of the P&L categories. Once you have created your scorecards, which can be done automatically with Connect or manually by right-clicking and choosing each one of your components and your structure, you are now ready to start using the application. To use the action plan or strategic initiative section and to link performance measures or KPIs, you simply click on the checkbox box and then you can add an action plan or an action to an underperforming KPI, an underperforming perspective, an underperforming key performance area, or an underperforming objective. You can also send any page in the application to your bookmarks, to a briefing book, or to Microsoft Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. Once you've created your scorecard, the very next section is typically to create dashboards. In the Quick Score product, there is a module specifically for creating strategy maps. However, many of our customers actually create strategy maps using the dashboard functionality because a strategy map is simply a particular kind of dashboard wherein the strategic objectives are divided into perspectives. In your dashboard, you have the option to create many different kinds of objects. You can create gauge WOBs. A WOB is a windowed object. We call it a WOB because they behave like a windowed object in PowerPoint, and when you export them to PowerPoint, they work like PowerPoint objects. You can create graph objects. You can create scorecard node objects. You can create Gantt chart objects. You can add text anywhere in the application, and you can add images or a background image to create strategy maps. Once you've created your scorecards, your dashboards, your action plans, you can then send them to briefing books. A briefing book is an online presentation tool. You have the ability to create multiple briefing books. Each one of the briefing books can be presented online so that the data will, if it changes while you're giving the presentation, the data changes. Or your briefing book can be sent in its entirety to PowerPoint. At Spider Strategies, we send most of our briefing books to PowerPoint so that we can email the PowerPoint presentation to each one of the performance team members for a review prior to our weekly or monthly performance meetings. Finally, we have a documents module. The documents module is simply for you to input performance documents that are relative to your department's performance management initiatives. So that's basically the functionality of the application. You have the ability to convert your performance measures into scorecards. You have the ability then to add actions to underperforming components of your scorecard, to create dashboards, and create briefing books. If you have any further questions, please give us a call at 202-349-7134, and we'd be happy to set up a personal demonstration. Thanks, and have a nice day.